Welcome to South Harmon. Welcome to South Harmon. Hey, welcome to South Harmon. We glad you here today. Another AMA. Ask me anything. Super chat is cool if you wanna pay to play. Like and subscribe, that's what we really appreciate. Let me introduce you to the tear down king. Mike McNutted, ask your questions, he'll answer anything. ATM, you know Adam, put them graphics on the screen. Glad you tapped in now, stay tapped in for the team. Hey, everything is posted. Go follow the socials. South Harmon FF tag us if we get noticed. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gotta miss this, right? Gotta miss this smooth undertones of fizzle. Lead us in, but what's good, everybody? Welcome back into a Wednesday night AMA here on South Harmon. I get to wear the glasses. Got some booze. What you drinking tonight, Adam? What you got?
We're tag teaming, finishing the rest of this Four Roses, which is already gone. That's what's in the cup now, and finishing up this Elijah Craig. As you can see, man, we're running low over here. Content creator life is good, but we are saucing. I gotta restock, man. I gotta get into this new drink Mike's been getting me on, right?
Let's go, man. Gotta get you up there. We got a little Svedka.
Oh, going OG.
Like always. I love
OG,
it. This stuff's
I love
just
it.
so smooth. Goes down great. It's awesome. Put a little ice in my cup, my South Harmon glass. But Adam, tonight's theme, 24 is our year. And I think it's for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But here at
Yeah.
South Harmon, definitely for us, hopefully we'll have a few exciting announcements to roll out in the next couple weeks. Can't break anything yet, but
Nope.
just a little teaser. Don't want to put the cart before the horse, as they say. I love those old-timey sayings. But even if not, the 24 draft class, we've kind of been high on this class for a while now, multiple years. It's
Yep.
finally here. 24 is going to be amazing. It is going to be a great draft class for your Dynasty teams. A lot of championships in the future, I think, are going to have a foundation based on what happened in the 24 rookie draft. So it's kind of exciting. A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of wide receivers. Adam, I was looking around the old interwebs today, looking on the old X platform, and the Brock Bowers shit is starting to take off, man, and we are at the end point of January. Oh, boy, man.
Buddy.
I heard things like top 5 lock, greatest tight end prospect we've ever seen.
Oh,
And
that's
for those of you who rock with us, you know for a fact we're anti-tight end over here because we have a certain tool that tells you.
as I'm rocking my Kyle Pitts jersey, you know.
As you put on Kyle Pitts, yeah.
You already know what it is. Yeah, you already know where we're at, though.
It's going to be incredible, though, if people really hype him up, right? Because it's just going to make all the other stuff fall to you. Yeah.
It's already happening. Like, Mike, it's basically going to be – I think it's almost going to be consensus groupthink that this is the greatest tight end prospect we've ever seen. So I'm not even going to at this point – we haven't seen Combine. We haven't seen all the stuff to really debate the merit of that. But I'm here for that conversation if it happens. I'm all about it. Appreciate Billy Squibb, man. He says, I poured myself a nice stout glass of scotch and ready to chill and listen to my favorite channel. Good evening, gents. Appreciate y'all so much. He said also to go drop a like. Listen, everybody that's here, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Billy.
We appreciate everybody tapping in with us on another Wednesday AMA. Mike, 24 class. It's our year. You're a member of the South Harmon. You tap into these. You're a part of that. You're part of the group. The draft class. 24 is our year, I think, in a lot of ways. But, yeah, this class, Mike, is Eric and I just did 2 mock drafts, which you'll be able to tap into tomorrow based on real ones. So, Shane Holland and Dane Brugler. This class is setting up to be so freaking awesome, man. But let's get into this.
What's up, Corey?
Back like I never effing left. Pour up, huh? You already know what time it is. Cheers.
Adam, great thing about it, right? I love Dane Brugler's mock. Like, we always look forward to it. One of the sharpest in the space. Shane, We've had him on the show before.
Love Shane, man.
Go back a ways. Shane does fantastic work, but not to discredit him, But we got a weekly mock draft that we can analyze, right? Thanks to the patrons. If y'all didn't catch it, Monday nights, every Monday night, we will be doing mock draft based on what the patrons want to do. They're making the picks. I'm included, but I usually just take, random teams that nobody else seemed to want. Eric did a great job of taking all the teams that didn't have first-round picks, so that was easy for him. He took the cop out. But,
listen, that's a little bit of a 4D
Monday,
chess move, right?
Come chap in. Yeah, 4D chess right there. You don't have to make picks, huh? Just take the Browns, Panthers.
All them teams sitting there watching at the green room.
I got excited too. I saw in the chat. I don't know who put it, but Caden Proctor.
I'm gonna get to that.
Caden Proctor. Big fan of Caden Proctor, and I did see the news. He entered the transfer portal. So like the old movie, man. You're saying there's a chance. There's a chance.
And there's a chance.
He was a hard commit to Iowa at one point. Him and Xavier Wampka are pretty close. So did a lot of recruiting trying to get him there. Locked him in at one point, but, when Alabama comes a-calling, Nick Saban came a-calling. Caden flipped his commitment, went to Bama. But now that there's no Saban, seems like it's free game on all Alabama transfers, man. Everybody on that team seemed like they're in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
This is not your dad's Alabama anymore, I guess.
I love
Even though I think DeBoer is a hell of a coach, but probably kind of like Mike Norvell down in Florida State, where it's it's a rough maybe first or second year, and then they really turn it on, once he gets his system and his recruits in place. So,
yep.
Ooh, Caden Proctor getting me all excited tonight, just talking about the potential of one of the best left tackle freshmen in the country, if not the best, heading to offensive line U. That would be amazing. I would be over the moon.
Yep. Big time. It's Mike, it's going to be interesting to see if all the hype, I think, for this 24 class, like if it hits. I think the some of the big things to watch for me are if Rome actually gets this like top 8-10 draft capital that a lot of people are starting to say, right? If that happens and Jaden Daniels also gets that top 5, top 10 for sure, like those two things happen, this class is going to be off the chain, man. Because you already got the Brock Bowers thing going on, right? You got Jaden Daniels that would make that third QB.
We're penciling in, right? Malik Neighbors with good draft capital too.
Yeah, if he's in the top 10, right?
Caleb and Drake May, right? Like you're absolutely you're 1,000% correct, Adam. Like we're stacked with rookie dynasty players. Besides the IDP leagues, with that elite draft capital, that just skyrockets value all over the place.
Yeah, we're talking. Legitimate chance right now, it looks like anyway, for 6, 7 like top 10 picks, which would just be ridiculous if that actually happens in the NFL. If we get 6 or 7 guys that we really like to get top 10 draft capital in the NFL, oh my goodness. And then there's some people putting JJ McCarthy's or other guys in the late part of the first round. And that's when all hell breaks loose, right? You get, your fourth quarterback in there. You get some of these guys sneaking in the first round.
We didn't even touch too on the fact that there's some really good teams with incredible possible wide receiver needs for some of these guys in the late, like perfect situations. Like if the Bengals draft one, holy shit! The Bills draft one. The Chargers.
Shane had
fix their mistake.
Shane had the Bengals taking Brock Bowers. You really want to talk about freak out session? Oh my God, right?
Oh baby. Fizzle shocked us all on Monday night. He picked for his Dallas Cowboys. He had Troy Franklin going to the Cowboys, right? Talk about like a perfect kind of fit too, right?
Yep.
You don't need Troy Franklin to be the alpha because you have CeeDee Lamb. What Troy Franklin really does well is stretch the field. Like think about probably a little bit more refined Jameson Williams, who's also just happens to be 6'4". Like that's pretty exciting. I did see somebody had some interesting comps too on X2 for wide receivers, and the Troy Franklin one had me like rolling. It was Mike Wallace, but 3 inches taller. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Mike Wallace, but 3 inches taller. I get behind that one.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
24 class, absolutely loaded. So it's going to be amazing. And if you got a lot of picks, welcome. Welcome to fun. Don't sell them cheap. All right? Don't sell them cheap. It's January. Let that baby build up. Just getting started.
Appreciate everyone tapping in. Dynasty Daddy's here. We got a bunch of people here. T-Rock saying, all I heard is the greatest tight end prospect ever. He's talking about Zach Kuntz. We got all the fun and banter. One last thing I wanted to touch on. You brought up JMO, and I saw a really interesting tweet on this, Mike. So, right now there's a big, like, Quentin Johnston was a big, huge flame out this year, right, in the face planner. So I want you to check this out, okay? For the starts of their career, Quentin Johnston in 17 games has 38 catches, 431 yards, 2 tugs, right? Jameson Williams in 18 games has 395 yards and 3 tugs. But Jameson Williams has definitely come down a little, but there's not this it's just interesting. The group think is very, very, the whole community seems to be very out on Quentin. Like, you're stuck with him, it feels like right now, right? Not saying people are super in on JMO, but it seems like because it was across 2 seasons and the suspension and all that, the narrative hasn't quite dipped as far for him,
People can wrap their head around the excuses they make for Jameson Williams. And nobody's out there really touting excuses for Quentin Johnston, even though he has some valid ones. Let's just play devil's advocate. Let me preface this by saying neither one are that appealing to me. There was a moment of weakness where I had a few weeks ago where I was like, maybe some JMO, right? Like, maybe, nah, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. But yes, the people can wrap their head around the excuses for JMO, right? The injury, the ACL coming off of it. The fact that they had to, he got suspended and, missed all those time this year. People go, okay, all that kind of plays into it. But like you said, the total number of games is the same, right? The excuses, I'll just lay them out for Quentin Johnston, is one, he played in the Big 12. Okay, it's a little bit tougher to adjust as a wide receiver coming from the Big 12, except for, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Blackmon back in the day,
Oh, yeah.
Des Bryant, OG. Very few of these guys come out and just produce right away. I mean, everybody was super high on Marvin Mims. He did absolutely fucking nothing. He was terrible, god-awful. Good kick returner. No one cares. But the excuse for Quentin Johnston, one, the Big 12 thing. 2, I don't think a lot of people realize, too, he literally only played on one side of the field at TCU. Literally. He just go out there, play on his side, and those were the only routes he runs. Nobody does that shit in the NFL. How many times do you see, not even guys who work in the slot, just think of your alpha X receivers. How many times do you see just DK Metcalf line up on the right side of the field for the entire part of the game? Never. His ass is on the left, his ass is in the slot, his ass is on the right, he goes in motion. Learning how to run a route tree from different foot positions coming off the line, from being in motion, from different sides of the field, whether you're on the boundary, whether you're, which hash you're on, how your quarterback likes to throw the ball. Tua's not going to throw a lot of deep outcuts because he doesn't have the arm strength, right? But knowing and all that nuance that goes into running wide receivers, he was raw as shit. And also, not as athletic as we thought, right? Not as tall as we thought. We thought this was a 6'4" athletic freak, and come combine time, you go, okay, he's a little bit shorter, doesn't run as fast, doesn't weigh as much. There was a lot of red flags, but nobody wants to talk in about the built-in excuses for him that it was going to be a steep learning curve for him, even with Justin Herbert in the Chargers offense, because of where he came from, where he played football at, how he played football. But the JMO thing, people do mental gymnastics all day for Jameson Williams. And you and I have experienced this for multiple years now at this point, where we're like, yeah, we're kind of good, man. You keep your JMO, I'll sell him if he gets too high, right, or if somebody comes calling. But definitely not a cornerstone wide receiver that I want to build on. And people dogged us for it. And yet here we are. He's not that good. No.
By the way, we have a super chat. Call 343 or CAW 343 is a fish. I love this.
Xbox out here just dogging people that do startup. It was stone cold one of the worst trades I ever thought, and I've probably seen in a while, Adam.
Go ahead. I mean, you put a super chat in here, Mike. We got to at least,
got to get it off.
Got to give the details. Yeah.
12-team best ball, start 2 quarterbacks, start 2 tight ends, fairly hefty tight end premium, right? But just the main points is, no, it's a best ball league, right? And C-Caw, however you say his name, plays in a shit ton of leagues. I think when I pulled him up on Sleeper, it was 127 or whatever. So I was like, okay, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing, right? And kind of talked all through the startup, seemed pretty confident. Didn't poke the bear or anything. And then immediately after the draft's done today, I see this trade come across with Mr. Wonderful of all people. And I go, what the fuck are we doing? All right.
Let's get it.
So Mr. Wonderful gets 3 first-round picks in 25. 3 of them.
I mean, I already just there's a select number of players that makes sense for. Let's hear it.
3 of them, okay? He received Matt Stafford. Okay.
I mean, we're
Mike
off
Williams,
to oh.
Kadarius Toney,
Okay. Now we're talking.
Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, a 3rd and a 4th in 24.
I don't have all my sounders, my old sounders, man, just that's really freaking bad, bro. I mean, that's terrible. What are we doing?
I don't know. I was still trying to figure out if there was like more players to be named later or something coming his way.
I mean, I guess what you do is you give the super chat one more go around. Mr. Wonderful is a shithead, certified, been around for a while.
Right.
Mike, I mean, okay, the players you just named for me, you gave me one where I say, all right, first round pick, right? Kenneth Walker's worth a first. You just tell me generically worth a first, whatever, generic somewhere in, like we call it, just a mid-generic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely, sure.
Wouldn't hate you for it.
Okay, but we got 2 more in here, and this is one of those, in case you want to know, if you go to take a bunch of coins to the bank, they make you roll them. You have to do something in order for them to take the currency in big lumps like that.
Right.
Mike, nobody else in that conversation is even worth a first. Like, singularly. I mean, you could maybe, if you told me it's like 112 locked in 2026 or some shit for Matthew Stafford, but even then, we're stretching it just even. There's no way, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty terrible, too. I mean, you did all that work in the startup to get, a couple extra 25 first by trading back and trading down and, not getting studs. But, there's a reason Matt Stafford went late. There's a reason Kadarius Toney was like a 20th round pick. Mike Williams was the 3rd and the 4th.
Matt, I would not do this. Do not do it. Don't be the person that goes and buys. Don't even send the 212. Nah, just keep that. Stay away from the face planters, man. Bad recipe there. By the way, Brandon, appreciate you tapping in and rubbing some salt. Nah, I mean, frankly, I was excited for Flacco playing as well as he did, but we all know there was a reason his career came to rest before. It just took us, it happening on the big stage to remember why. So
you're talking to 2 guys who are fans of teams for a very long time. So, even the highs, we still got that little bit of a question mark. We've been hurt so much in the past, like you just can't rip our souls out anymore.
But see,
don't have one.
This is a perfect segue, Mike, for the 24 is our year and to get into questions, because as long as I've been alive, right? So watching football, like there was only a couple of years when I was really young watching football, the Browns were even around. And then the team leaves, right? Art Medell takes the team away. We get the team back. Every year, Mike, people find their way in this town to, this is our year. And then when we don't win, it's next year's our year. And it's next year. It's always next year, right? Nah, this year is our year, buddy. Even as a Browns fan, I can tell you this year is our year. Although we do that every year, so it doesn't make it any different. But let's get into questions, man. Let's get into questions, all right?
I just saw the comment from Daniel Walker come across the screen, too. Like,
What did he
you know
say?
what to do. Go to that offending owner.
Mike.
There we go.
Nice.
Got a fish.
Love it.
We got a fish. Hey, I'm not saying anything shady, but I want to give props to Mr. Wonderful, too, because it's a mostly shithead patron league. I don't run it. He ran it. He started it up, and had trouble filling the last couple spots with non-payers or procrastinators, and he was like, hey, do you mind if I go outside of the Patreon to get somebody? I'm like, no, go get a fish, man. Like, we'll bring him in. And then he brought this guy in, and I was like, oh, this dude's actually pretty sharp. And then we see immediately after the draft is over, like, Mr. Wonderful knew what was up. He was like, I'm just biding my time.
Yeah.
All right, now's the time to strike. Let's get him.
Let's get them. All right. Let's get into questions, man. AMA, ask us anything. 12-team, start 10, 1.5 tight end premium, Mike. have 104, 105, 109, and the 110 and 111. Also have 5 seconds. The core of the team is Allen, Herbert, Gibbs, Ayuk, Andrews, Addison, JSN, Pitts, Hollywood, Jacoby. Would you trade the 105 and the 111 for Tyreek and 208? Spicy.
Very spicy. I would say right now, no. I'm going to hold on to that 105. We just talked about the hype for this class, and it just keeps building. Brock Bowers especially. There might come a time where you're getting Tyreek for the 105, and you probably get a plus on the Tyreek side,
Yeah.
just because of the way things are going to shake out, right? We can't change Tyreek's age. We can't go back in time. He's going to be a 30-year-old wide receiver to people, and it is what it is. We saw the fall off from Cooper Kupp, and his dynasty value has just gone right into the shitter. Like it just keeps going down and down, and I still think he probably has some production left in him, kind of like Keenan Allen this year, Mike Evans. But people at this time of the year, they don't give a shit. I think you're buying right off the high of a season that we just saw Tyreek, right? So his market value hasn't actually corrected to where it's going to be come April. Revisit it if you really want to. But for now, I'm passing. And if you miss out, right, like, oh, this is a one-time thing, he's going to move Tyreek, right? That's just sales tactics. And if they do, good for them. Like, good for them on being able to move Tyreek right now. I would pass. I would stay with my 105 for now.
All right, Chip. I don't know if you're here or not. I know this question was here when we hopped in. But Chip Diamonds, if you're here, I'm not trying to cop out, but this may feel like a cop out answer. This is the way I look at this, okay? Mike, we talked about this. I guess it would have been on 4D Chess. Yeah, we just recorded that yesterday. Sometimes with all the content, we do have to try to really think, like, where did I say this? So I had 2 teams this year, Mike, where one had 12 of the 23 firsts, and the other one had 10. And in the shit league, the shit OG league, I intentionally, like, moved picks where I could and moved young guys where I could to make a blend of both young talent with, like, star studs and even older guys, right? Some guys I even missed on, like Cooper Kupp. But I made intention to get rid of some of the young guys. I went and got Tyreek Hill in that league, stuff like that. So I guess in the Arkham League, I intentionally did not really do a lot of that just to see. And guess what? In Arkham, I missed the playoffs. Like, that's how different it can be sometimes. I was the 7th seed. So reason I bring that up, I don't want to cop out. So, like, in theory, I want to make some moves like this where I'm taking some pick liquidity and getting into an asset that can be a hammer so that I can actually turn this team into one that's ready to go. But I'm going to give you this thing here. And to Mike's point, I'm going to hold for now. And the thing I'll ask you if you're still here to give me in the chat for context, like, did this trade come to you, or is this being something you're sending out or you're thinking about sending out? Because to me, the way I'm reading this, I feel like this trade came to you. And one thing I will tell you right now is when people come to buy your picks, when you have a multitude, this is a hard, fast rule for me now. You can, again, play how you want to play, and I'll help you coach it whatever way you want to do it. But for me, hard, fast rule, let's say I have 4 picks or more, 3 picks or more for sure. You come buying my picks in January, what are you going to offer me in February? What are you going to offer me in March? What are you going to offer me as the combine's hitting in its peak and we're right before the draft? Maybe he'll move Tyreek Hill. Maybe you won't get specifically Tyreek Hill. You also don't have to specifically have Tyreek Hill to make some of these picks go into contending type assets, right? I think if this trade is coming to you, just even if you want to go get Tyreek Hill and you're comfortable moving the 105 in, the difference in the 111 and the 208 have to come together. You can find a way to get more, I believe, than what you're getting here if this is the offer that was made to you personally.
Yeah, one of the things, too, like, it's kind of a nice corollary here where you talk about you had a ton of picks in the shit league. And there was a reason you built a monster squad this year, and it wasn't just on the picks, but it was the fact that you're the only game in town, really, when it came
exactly.
to picks.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, finish that point. Great call. Yeah.
You were the only game in town. So, like, you got Tyreek Hill last year, May 18th last year, right?
Yep.
So we had already done the rookie draft, May 18th. You got Kirk Cousins and Tyreek Hill, and you sent away George Pickens, Kenny Pickett, Zach Evans, and a second in 24.
Because people were desperate for picks, and there was only one person to get them from, right?
Right. You made multiple deals, where you got studs for cheap. Now, Nick Chubb ended up getting hurt, but you got Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb for
Like
4 thirds?
Yeah,
4 thirds and a fourth.
Yeah. On the clock. That trade was sent to me, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I think that's so key to what you're talking about, Mike, right? You have 104, 105, and then 109, 110, 111. So you have 5 firsts in this class plus 5 seconds. So in a 12-team league, you have almost half of the first and second round. People, when they start to see that as it becomes closer and closer to the draft and the peak happens, they'll do crazy stuff because they're like, man, I don't want this guy to get all these picks, right? Love that point. Great call, Mike.
Think about this one. In May, too, you also got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs probably kind of like Tyreek Hill right now versus, where he was last year at the time, right? Don't do a one-for-one, but think about where Stephon Diggs was dynasty value and production-wise coming off of the 21 season, 22 season, heading into 23. But you got Lockett, Diggs, Allen, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah Pacheco. You sent away Lance, Charbonnet, QJ, 2 firsts and 24 and 2 seconds.
Yeah, and because I knew that was, that's Cody, roster beta. We'll go ahead and put it out there. But I had his picks, and he knew it was time to rebuild. And all right, come rebuild. But I'm gonna need the iron stud. So yeah, leveraging, man. That's essentially what it is, right? If you have the ability to leverage, wait until you can. So
for sure.
All right,
hold it.
Whoa! We got Mike. They're coming in hot and heavy, man. Let's go.
Fast.
Tyler,
what's up?
Appreciate it. $20. I'll give him one more, man. Really elevate that thing in here, man. 12 team.
Yeah, that's worth 2.
Start 10. Superflex 1.75 tight end premium. In a startup round 9, Dak, Watson, Lamb, DK, Njoku, Diggs, Cup, Dobbs, 24, 107, 108, 111, and 325 first. What are you doing with these picks to address age receiver and running backs going after like Monty, maybe Swift, Connor Kamara? I'm not messing around with any of those running backs right now. I'm not messing around buying any running backs in this type of range for a while, for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm probably going to pass on all running backs. I'm going to hold on to those picks and leverage them because like we were just talking about, sometimes these deals just pop out of nowhere. Like people are like, fuck, Aaron Jones? You got a couple thirds? Like, I'll take a couple thirds for Aaron Jones. And all of a sudden, instead of spending draft capital, right, in a startup or moving anything now, moving any pieces now, you walk into similar or better production for even cheaper once you get outside of the startup. And people aren't so locked into team building, right? Everybody,
there you go.
Almost everybody, universally, okay? It's a, 80%, 75%, whatever you want to say, 12 teams, 14 teams. Most people go into the mindset of they're going to compete. Right? They're thinking about, I got to fill this tight end spot. I got to fill this running back. I got to fill this quarterback. I usually have success, personally, when I go into startup, is doing shit like this and just taking the value when it falls to me, accumulate some draft picks, trade back, do some things like that, and then you come out of the startup and you go, this roster ain't so half bad. Now, if I can get some deals done out of the startup and make some moves here and there and shore this up and like kind of really make a strong contender coming into September, but still have some flexibility in case it all goes to shit, that's the ideal situation. Now, sometimes that doesn't happen, though. Sometimes it's like people are so, assholes are puckered and tight and they don't want to move anything and everybody thinks they're going to win a championship and I'm not moving this guy, yada, yada, yada. Perfect. Now, I know that most people in my league are competing. So I take the Daks, the Watsons, the Lambs, and Njokus, like the stuff that you already have on your team, and I go, come get them, folks.
Yeah.
Come get them. I built with the 107, the 108, the 111. I got 325 first. Let me make this 6. Let me make this 7. Let me get some 26 first while we're at it, folks. Like, just toss them in, and I'll go super dumpster fire rebuild. I don't care, but where you position yourself right now, don't ruin it, right? Don't try to reach or think that, I'm a little weak here. It's January. You got a lot of time to make up. You got a lot of time for potential deals to happen, for people to get desperate, for people to get excited about, I don't know, whatever your 107 is going to be, whatever your 108 is going to be. And they might go, I got some old aging vets. I really want this rookie, man. Who do you want? Take him. I really want Brock Bowers. I can't believe he fell to the 107. Here, take Tyreek Hill. Take this. Take Jonathan Taylor's now available, man. I need that 108. I'll give you JT plus for the 108. Shit like that happens. So I would say patience. I will say patience, and I would, Tyler, I saw Adam put the comment up here. If rookie picks are available, stay fluid, stay flexible, grab them up, right? You got second rounders, take them.
Yeah.
You're kind of at the point of the draft too where like third rounders are going to start going, the early thirds. I'm doing 2 startups, one just finished, and I would say that I have this conversation every time I'm on the clock, right? Regardless of how I feel about a team, right? Team agnostic. If somebody sent me this deal and they were like, this or this 303 rookie pick, which would I rather have? Most times it's going to be the pick.
Yeah.
I would rather have that flexibility. There's very few players where I go, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't see a whole lot of downside by taking them. The upside could be amazing. I'm going to go ahead and take that because it could outweigh what that rookie pick could be or the flexibility. So, stick with the rookie picks in my opinion.
Here's the way I look at it, Tyler. So, to kind of clarify and be specific, okay? When I say right now, I'm definitely not buying these running backs before these draft picks have had a chance to really solidify peak values, first and foremost, okay? Now, the reason I say that, everything you're describing up here is in first-round value, first and foremost, right? 107, 108, 111. None of those picks even are – they're well ahead of any of the running backs you're talking about below. And even in volume, I'd rather have the player. Think about the format. 12 teams start 10. So you can have 5 starting wide receivers. You're probably looking at either a combination of 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, or 2 receivers and 3 flex, right? I'm building this thing out with the idea of getting the wide receiver room really deep, 6, 7 guys that I feel really good about. And even if I'm getting all the way up until the start of the year, and you're talking about you have to roll out week 1 guys that don't look the greatest at the running back position, that's okay. Like, you can kind of patchwork together the running back spot in a start 10 and still be okay. Now, obviously, at a certain point, you'd like to address it and do it in a cheap manner. But look at what you have. The reason I say don't do it now, you got 325 first. Understand what 325 first can do at any point throughout the year next year. Like early in the year, right before the season. If there's an opportunity to buy a difference maker at running back, you have all kinds of like opportunity to do that with those picks. I don't necessarily, to the point you're saying here, keep drafting rookie picks. You don't have to press the button on all of them. What I'm basically telling you is I'm not trying to move liquidity for these type of running back assets at any point right now, probably even during the draft, unless it's like that value that Mike just kind of told you. If someone's going to let you send like maybe a very late second for one of these guys, or you get to the point where it's a bunch of thirds, okay, we can have a conversation. But right now, I think you just hold, draft these picks if you can't move them. If you can move them for receivers. I don't really want to invest in this format at all, frankly, right now.
I got this dilemma right now. I just popped on the clock, right? We're in the 21st round, end of the 21st round of a 14-team Bestball startup.
Okay.
Right? So Bestball kind of plays into the factor here too. But the 409 would be the rookie pick I could select, or, I have choices like Evan Hull, Alan Lazard, Eric Gray, Greg Dortch, Jameis Winston, like that kind of shit. We've kind of reached that point where we have that yin and yang in the draft, right? Like, I hammered rookie picks so early that there's been a lot of vets that fall because people then go, shit, I don't have any rookie picks in the first or second round. So, like, the thirds start going a little bit higher than they should. The fourths, like, people are trying to backfill for liquidity. So, all of a sudden, like, I'm sitting here and I'm having the debate. Would I rather have the 409 in a 14-team Superflex Bestball league, which, what's that? Basically a fifth rounder. Or would I rather have Evan Hull or a shot at like Alan Lazard? Maybe he bounces back with Aaron Rodgers and could make a lineup once or twice, like something like that. That's kind of the conversation that you have to have with yourself. And just for reference, I'm gonna just go shoot a shot here. I'm gonna go ahead and take Mr. Evan Hull.
There you go.
Just JT's backup. Why not?
Tyler, I hope that helped. By the way, he did say that he kind of sent like a Godfather package. He sent 3 of his 625 firsts for Lamb. So I get it, man. Like, if you're trying to turn this thing around, go get your guy sometimes. But and 3 firsts for him, he you're talking about Justin Jefferson type range that he's really in. I got no problem with it, man. If you kind of get all these picks, that's why you get all these picks, so you can form the team you want to based on the the startup, the format type, right? By the way, Mike, let's get you involved here and me. Mr. Wonderful says, well, first and foremost, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Mike, accept my offer and shit wars. Well, he's not going to do that, but I'll at least give you the second part of it.
Absolutely.
Adam graded. What do we got, Mike? Reveal.
Same league.
We want the underwear drawer. We want to see the underwear drawer, man. Let's see what we got.
Same league where he just bent that dude over in front of us. He's going to give me Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown.
Okay.
Or as Fizzle would call him, Doo-Doo Brown. At 25 third.
Okay.
And he wants me to send him my 25 first and Drake London.
Your 25 first and Drake London.
Yeah.
He's going to give you back A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill in the third, right?
Yeah.
My only question, I guess, is like, what is the Ryan Tannehill in the third have to do with anything?
Nothing. We just throw some shit out there and see how much I've been drinking tonight. I think that's what his game plan was.
Yeah, that sounds like hey, look over here, right? Look over here.
Right.
Man, I mean, Drake London, new offensive situation, and a first from Mike. It's a heavy price for a guy that didn't suit up. Yep.
In a Bestball league, he's trying to get this for the guy who's got the moniker, the tear down king. I don't tear up, son.
But he's trying to get slick with you. Like, hey, well, listen, you're tearing down. You're getting three pieces, bro. You're getting this third. You're getting this Ryan Tannehill. I'll Mr. Wonderful, I'll tell you, I'll grade the trade by, like, I kind of removed the excess, right? Like, some people, when they look at like a piece of meat, they kind of get rid of the fat. And some people are very into it. Some people want to just cut the fat off. If you do that, you cut the fat off. These things are not the same. Okay, so Mr. Wonderful, I appreciate the super chat, by the way. That was an easy grade for me. Let's get to another super chat, man. People out here living. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the super chats. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate Simon Joseph. By the way, people are in here. Don't trust someone with two first names. I trust them. You guys speak for yourselves.
I trust him now.
All right. Wait a second. Is that 1 and 2 firsts in 24 startup? Chase, 102, 104, 106, Pickens, Kirk, Deontay, Hollywood, Pop, Baker, Geno, Singletary, Connor, Mostert, Zeke, Otten. 2 extra future first. Oh, it's 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2. Okay. Yeah, first. Okay. So the second part here now. Sorry about that, Simon. The second part now. My first non-QB centered build. Probably going Marvin Harrison Jr., quarterback 3, Bowers in the draft, but any combination of top 6 is good. Do you have any ideas specifically? So 12 teams, Superflex, PPR, full tight end premium, full point tight end premium, start 10 lineup. Okay, let me pull up the first part again. All right, so
he's got no quarterback. He started with Jamar Chase. Then he picked the 102. He's got the 104, the 106. Pickens, Kirk, Deontay, Hollywood, Pop Douglas, Baker, Geno, Singletary. Okay. So he does have a couple quarterbacks. Quarterback.
He's got Baker, Geno, and Kirk. Kirk is Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk, yes.
Okay. So he's got Baker and Geno. All right. So he's saying his idea based on this, right? And it's a 12-team.
225 first as well.
12-team Superflex PPR start 10 lineup. He's looking at taking Marvin Harrison Jr., whatever the quarterback 3 is, and then Bowers. Okay.
Actually, I kind of like this, too, just with the way, in case this trend of quarterback injuries and, like, these mid-quarterbacks getting pushed up because all the superstars have sucked or got hurt, you just kind of roll out Baker. You roll out Geno for if he starts a whole season, great. If he only plays half the season because they draft a rookie or bring somebody else, great. Like, you get a little bit out of him. You're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with Jamar Chase. George Pickens is kind of nice. You have the 104 and 106, too, so there's potential that you actually get your second quarterback. It's just going to be a rookie, though, and you're banking on like a Jaden Daniels having a great fantasy season type, which would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But the rest of your team, too, then you're built with old running backs that nobody really gives a shit about, but they give production. Connor was awesome. Mostert was awesome. Zeke remains to be seen what he is, and you didn't invest a lot in tight end, and you have some future draft liquidity. I love this strategy, actually, like for doing a startup.
Okay.
I kind of did the same thing, right? Like I invested in Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson as my quarterbacks, plus all the rookie picks, and we'll see how that shit shakes out. And, then you backfill with, so-so running backs, and you just try to get by. But it gives you a lot of fluidity, a lot of liquidity to kind of move around the board, move amongst your league, depending on how things shake out. So I really like it. And if you stick with that plan, right, don't panic. Don't, roster watch your team, every single week going, oh, look at these fucking quarterbacks. They're terrible. Right? Just have some patience. I think it can work out because I saw a lot of teams build this way through startups, Koopa being one of them, in multiple leagues. And I'm going, fuck, man, he's got a strong-ass team. And his quarterbacks were dog shit. Like, they were terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I look at this, I agree with, I guess, the premise of it, okay, with what you're saying. I would just say just be a little open to, one, I mean, there's a very real scenario. I'm very curious to see how it goes. I think there's a very real scenario, unless you have insider info, that there's no chance. Like Marvin Harrison could end up going at 101. And now your plan, you might feel like, is throwing a wrench. So I would kind of view this in layers, or what could happen with what you have if you don't move around, or you move picks around at certain points. For me, 102, and the reason this is so great to have 102, 104, 106, if you want to take Marvin Harrison, so for example, if Caleb goes at 1, I'm taking Marv. If Marv goes at 1, I'm taking Caleb. I think the reason it's such a big deal and so good for you is if you took Caleb at 102, you're going to have a very real chance to take Malik Neighbors at 104, which I'm not saying he's Marvin Harrison Jr., but I very much like Malik Neighbors, and you kind of get a similar thing, right? You get a better quarterback prospect. You still get a very high-end wide receiver in Neighbors. So I would say this. I think you're in a great spot. What your thought process is, I don't think is wrong. I think you're onto something. But just be aware that, anything's possible. Person with 101, even if you think he's going to take Caleb, might trade it ahead. Someone might jump up and take Marvin Harrison. So I'd say just be fluid, right? But I love where you're sitting.
There's a real possibility you take what looks like now a dog shit quarterback room, with pretty good wide receivers with Chase and Pickens and Kirk and Deontay and Hollywood and Pop Douglas. You take that, and all of a sudden, just the way the board falls, like you said, maybe Marv goes 1, so now you take Caleb at 2, right? Maybe Malik Neighbors goes at 3, and all of a sudden you're looking at 104. Fuck, I'm getting Caleb and Drake May, right? Like all of a sudden my quarterback room went from Baker and Geno to
or Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah, or Jane Daniels if that's your dude. And all of a sudden you walk into 2 really high upside quarterbacks that have a lot of appeal because they're on rookies and high draft picks and pretty damn good talents. If I could say that, right? Caleb's amazing.
And in that scenario,
awesome. Jane Daniels has a lot of hype around him, and I think he'd be dynamic for fantasy. So all of a sudden you go into a pretty strong quarterback room. It just happens to be youthful. And
then in that scenario, right? The other thing I'm looking at is now, if that was to happen, let's say, okay, you end up getting 1 and 2 quarterbacks, let's just say in a scenario. All of a sudden at 106, I look at your team and it's like, man, what if Rome is a top 10 pick too? Like, do I just take Rome there? Because you have to basically ask yourself and understand your market. For me, in these type of formats, even where the tight end premium is really, really heavy, right? So it's double here, right? It's a full tight end. So it's 2 points per catch. Man, if I'm taking Brock, there's a real good chance that Mike, I'm trying to do it with the intention of moving, because in a format like this, I'm looking to probably get a haul. So if you don't take Rome, or you don't take another receiver that gets really high draft capital, I've seen Brian Thomas Jr. really getting some really high draft capital in some of these mocks. If he ends up being the guy that's top 10 or something, if you pass on him for a guy like Brock Bowers, I would probably be immediately seeing like, oh, holy crap, what can I get for Brock Bowers, right? When this hype really starts to hit a crescendo. So anyway, I guess that's some ideas, Simon, right? Like, I personally, if you're telling me you don't end up moving any of this stuff around, I'm going to try to stay pretty fluid. I also think one thing to keep in mind, Mike, let me ask you your thing here, your thoughts on this. I don't know, Simon, who has the 103. I might dangle 102 at 103. See what I can get for that too.
Yeah, Just to see, like, if you can get a pretty good haul, yeah.
I'm not looking to give it away by any means. I'm not looking to give the pick away, but you never know what somebody might give you. If someone's willing to give you like a total a free first in value to do that, maybe it's something you consider. You'll end up having Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors and an extra piece to go. Because here's the one thing I want to mention to you, Simon. You say this with this 2 extra future first, so I'm kind of imagining this is 25. If you're able to somehow get an extra first, you get 3 first, and you can throw 3 first at anybody. All of a sudden, your quarterback room could be solved. You can go buy someone legit, where this whole team is now. Holy crap! Look at what he has, man. Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors. He's got solid quarterback or solid wide receiver 3 in flexes. Just something to keep in mind. I'm not saying give 102 away. I'm not looking to give it away, but I think there's a chance from 103 to 102 when you dangle that in front, someone might really pay up for a Marvin Harrison Jr. or for a Caleb Williams.
Something to think about, right? Like they carry a little bit more weight right now, the way things stand, than maybe a Drake May or a Malik Neighbors or Jaden Daniels. Even though I love them, I think it's a lot closer than people want to acknowledge. But I can also acknowledge that those two seem like they're head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah, the reason I say that, I just explore it. I'm not looking to just move back to 103 to net, a single second or something like that, but just see what it's going to get you. See how I've seen a lot of people in this 103 spot. They're like, man, I don't want this 103. I wanted Caleb, or I wanted Marvin Harrison Jr. You might be able to get something crazy off of them. So things to keep in mind, man.
There's another team's got the 101, 103, and 105. So
oh, okay.
They're
so
fighting each other.
Oh. Well, then here's if that's the case, Simon, that's where I say you definitely got to be fluid, because everything you're doing and planning, that person's doing the same thing except for he's in front of you every time. So I would definitely have a plan, kind of to take the opposite side of what you think may come, right?
Yeah.
He says, I love how y'all spend like 10 minutes fleshing out an answer. It's been a while since I've hopped in with y'all. Listen. You get what you pay for. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I like to say it.
Feels good.
Feels good. All right, man. Let's get into some questions that are not super chats. By the way, you want to keep throwing super chats our way, we will give you every piece of the pie that we can figure out, man. So let's get into some of these. All right. Ethan says 12 team Superflex PPR, no tight end premium. So it's 4 point per passing touchdown, 1 point per pick. Superflex lineup league. He's got Hurts, he's got Watson, he's got Javonte, Warren, Jaden Reed. He's got T. Higgins, Sam Laporta, 101, 102, 103, 105. Wow. Would you move off of Hurts? Been getting offers like 101 plus 202 for Herbert or JJ.
I'm not moving Jalen Hurts unless you absolutely just
Okay. So he's getting 101. Offers like 101 plus 202 for Herbert or JJ. So he has this one, man. Mike, let me ask you right now, because would you trade Marvin Harrison Jr. in the 202 to go get Justin Jefferson? I guess would be my question to you.
I think I actually would, because it's a start 9.
I agree. I think I'm
tight
okay.
End premium, so they're dog shit. They're terrible. I think I'd be okay with that for Justin Jefferson, not for Herbert though. I don't think I'm good.
I completely agree. Ethan, if I'm doing anything, I'll move off the 101 for Justin Jefferson. Yeah. And the other reason I say that I'm okay doing that, Mike, I'm going to go get D-Stud, the one that I think is the best, because I also, Mike, although let's say 101, because I'm sitting now with 102, 103, and 105, what if 101 ends up being Caleb Williams? You get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you still get a quarterback. Yeah, I'm doing that for sure. And even if I miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr., I'll take 2 quarterbacks right there. I'll take Caleb Williams, and then I'll take,
It took me a minute to process this one, but I think that's a slam dunk, right? Looking at format, everything considered.
Yep.
I know they're going to increase in value, but Jesus, I don't think it's going to go that much higher.
No,
it may.
There's caveats.
Maybe some people are doing that shit straight up, but I take the win here, especially for Jefferson. Don't do this for Herbert. I would say that. I would pass on the Herbert part.
The exceptions, I think, Mike, let's kind of put some parameters on it. And for me, when I look at it and think about it, I would say if I'm getting off of 101, 102 type picks especially, I'm getting the premier player at the positions if I'm going to do that. And it's probably going to be a Justin Jefferson, or I'm getting into the elite tier of quarterback. If I can do that, if you even want to did this and you really, really are strong on CD, I can understand it. But again, that's the thing. If I'm getting off of those picks to get into solidified slam dunk assets like that, Mike, I'm with you.
Yeah, and to the first part, don't sell Hurts, man. It was a bad offensive year with a terrible offensive coordinator, and that dude was still a warp god at the quarterback position, right behind Josh Allen, who's amazing and probably should be everybody's 101, no question. But your 102 conversation starts with Jalen Hurts. Right?
Yeah.
That's where it should start. I don't give a fuck about the playoff game or how it ended. The dude had a fucked up finger, and Brian Johnston can't call anything but bubble screens to save his life. And he had no plan for the blitz, which was awesome to see. Like, not our blitz, not the blitz of South Harmon, but the actual NFL blitz, not the video game either.
To be fair, whether it's the NFL blitz, it's the actual NFL having a blitz at you, or it's our blitz, they're all tough to plan for. Let's call it what it is, man. You know?
I'm shocked that dude is getting coaching interviews, right?
Why?
Who the fuck was like, yeah, let's go interview that Eagles offense coordinator. We like what he did this year. Okay.
Yeah,
Good
Mike,
luck.
if you're someone that can compartmentalize and be like, man, this team was 10-1, looked like the best team in the NFL. Look what he was doing during that time. I'm just trying here as hard as I can. Look at Matt Dennis, man.
What's up, Matt? We'll raise him up, buddy.
It's funny. I just poured up. Let's get it.
He saw you. He was like, "Gotta make sure you finish that glass."
Ooh. I just switched the Elijah Craig, so different hit, and that's 94 proof, buddy. Let's just say that. Stings the nostrils.
Just don't pee on your floor.
I'm not gonna do that. However, I've heard it's a cool thing. I also heard it's cool to pee out of the window at times. So if you know, you know.
All right.
Let's get to other questions.
Who are we most worried about in 24? 24 class?
Who are you most worried about in 24? Who do you think has the biggest rise that people won't see coming in 24? Are we talking, Matt, give us clarity. Are we talking rookies or just like the 24
the
season?
Whole thing in general. Yeah. You let us know which one it is. Let's type in the chat there.
Let's start with rookies. Let's start with rookies for now. As we
fuck. It was a $10 super chat. I'll answer both parts.
Yeah, we can do both.
Rookies.
There you go.
I acknowledge the fact Brock Bowers is pretty awesome, but that would be the one I'm most worried about. Right, I think a lot of people are going to put their eggs in this rookie tight end basket, the Sam Laporta feels. We've already seen the downside. You're wearing the fucking jersey of a guy we've seen the downside of. Like, what happens? That would be the one I'd be most worried about. And I think people would make a big mistake investing too high of draft capital in it. That would be the one. And the one that people don't see coming, it's kind of hard because, Adam, you've talked about it, like this fucking guy, like just every single week, right? Somebody puts out a mock draft like Dan Brugler, Shane Hallam, right? Like one of these people who are in the know and pretty damn good at it. Buddy, I was so much happier when nobody knew who the fuck Brian Thomas was, right? Like everybody was excited about Malik Neighbors.
Those Brian Thomas Jr. Hideout days are kind of already like it's early in the process and people are going to get pretty familiar, right?
And I didn't think I'd be in on this guy. And, I kind of laughed and chuckled when I saw the tweets earlier in the year. And, I'm like, that's just, this account being that account. But, Adam, Christian hooked me up, man. Got some old 22 film. Been doing a little studying. And the first one I went to go look at because I had to find out for myself if these people are fucking crazy.
Oh, no.
Lad fucking McConkey is that dude.
Oh yeah, I was just
Lad fucking McConkey might be that fucking dude, man.
I like him. It's funny. I was just in America's Game saying like I do like him, but I kind of see him as a not really super tremendous high upside. So I'd be curious to see if you think that's different. You're not gonna like what I say in America's Game.
Oh, we'll have to check that one out tomorrow.
Although to be completely honest, I don't have all 22 film. Some of us just are keeping it to ourselves. We
can put the Julian Edelman stereotype to bed. That boy can move, and I would imagine he's going to have a pretty good combine.
I know people are high on him.
Right?
So yeah.
Yeah, he can move. He can run routes with the best of them. Not just a Hunter Renfrow type.
Oh, that's too funny. That was the name I used too. Oh, that's amazing.
He's got some speed.
Fantastic.
He would dust Hunter Renfrow twice.
I don't even doubt that, by the way. I was more comping to like upside and fantasy. But yeah,
I swear to God, I'm pretty sure if you lined him and Hunter Renfrow up together and had him run a 40,
I mean,
Hunter could run the 40 and you'd have Ladd run the 60 and he'd still beat him.
to be fair, I mean Hunter Renfrow. Let's not act like Hunter Renfrow. The 40-yard dash would be one of the things you're going to say Hunter Renfrow is going to be the worst.
Well,
Like, we all know
dad
that's
bod.
yeah. He didn't come in here being a 40-yard guy. I get it.
Yeah, I thought people were crazy earlier with the Ladd McConkey thing, and a lot of it's Georgia and their offense, and they're not like super high flying, and they don't throw the football a ton, and it was kind of like, well, they're going to run the football, and Brock Bowers is going to be. But I was impressed watching what I did of Ladd, and I was impressed watching Carson Beck throw the fucking football too. Like that's a guy for 25. Just to keep in mind at the quarterback position. So
Okay.
that's probably your deep dive. But yeah, Brian Thomas is my OG. Like. You guys need to know who he is.
So wait, who are you worried about the most in 24, and who's the biggest rise? So rise you have is Ladd?
Yeah, I'm going to go final answer Ladd. The one I'm worried about the most is Brock. We'll stick with Georgia here.
Okay.
I think people are playing a dangerous game with Brock Bowers. Interesting.
Why do you say that? Like, is it in just production relative to what it means in warp, or is that, I'm assuming that's right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Fair.
And,
I'll be interested.
We saw with Kyle Pitts, like this goes to a bad situation and the situation gets worse all of a sudden. Like you're so damn quarterback dependent that, people really start going, well, you had a great rookie year, but fuck. Like I don't really have interest in Kyle Pitts right now. I'll stick with Evan Ingram, which is actually the smart play.
Okay. Let's see. So I'll tell you, Mike, I'm very high on Keon Coleman, but Keon Coleman for me has been a guy I think you and I are both pretty in on. Right now, you asked me this specific question right now. Mike, I'm still probably going to take plenty of Keon, especially if what some of the people are saying out there happens and he slides in Superflex mocks and in real drafts. But it also is making me feel like, what am I not seeing? Like, honestly, I'm a little worried because I know I'm biasedly in on Keon Coleman, and there's a lot of people that are telling me that they don't necessarily see it, and the draft capital is not a sure thing when you look at a lot of mocks. So I would say right now, to answer the question, like from a standpoint of where I personally am versus who I'm worried about for my own bias, I think Keon Coleman's that guy because – like I know factually, Mike, right now, if you told me what the information I had today is and just where I'm at, I'm probably drafting Keon Coleman way before a lot of people are. So that makes me worried.
That's a good one.
As far as the biggest rise that people won't see coming, man, the Brian Thomas one was going to probably be the one, but you can't say that anymore, right?
Yeah. It's ruined forever.
I don't know. Because and the other hard part with I would like to say Braylon Allen, but people have seen it coming. And the running backs, I don't think you can really say that until you know what the opportunity workload is in front of them. So I'm not going to put him out there either. I'll tell you who I'm going to take then. I'm going to take Jatavian Sanders. I don't know how much people do say or think about him, but discount with Jatavian Sanders probably going to round 2 with a lot of upside athleticism. Maybe not going to be Brock Bowers, but Brock Bowers light or something like that, production-wise, at a bigger discount. I'll say Jatavian Sanders for me.
You just got me to make the Christian Bale American Psycho face, right? Like the
ooh, yeah. Let's go, man.
That's a good one. I like that one.
All right. We got Mike super chatting. Mike.
Hey, look at me. I can multitask.
Look at this guy, huh? 1 out of 2. 10-team Superflex. Start 10 lineup. All right, so we got Mahomes, Kyler, Ramondre, Javonte, Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico, Deontay, Judy, Pop, and Njoku. I have the 102, the 110, the 210, the 310, and 225 first. Okay, second part. League mate has 101 and 103. Thinking he might go Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 101, then QB at the 103. I'd like to get another receiver, given my strong quarterback room. Thoughts? All right, back to this.
I would say because it's a 10 team either way. Not even if that was kind of your goal, but even if I didn't have a strong quarterback room, because it's a 10 team, I think I'm a lot more interested in taking like a Malik Neighbors at 103 than I ever would be Jaden Daniels or Drake May.
100%,
Like,
man.
I think that was probably the play that I would have done either way. Now, with your situation, I think it's 1,000% like the way you go. Like,
Yeah.
if he does go Marvin Harrison at the 101, then it's like, yeah, okay. 102, I'm probably looking at it going, it feels early for people. But like, I'm gonna put the pick on the block and see if we get some feelers, see if anybody really wanted Caleb. But if they don't, shit, I might forego Caleb Williams and just take Malik Neighbors. Now, you could also try to trade down to the 103 and see what happens there as well. But
I'll be honest, in a 10-team start 10 lineup where you have Mahomes and Kyler, knowing that like the quarterback scarcity doesn't allow you to leverage away, and you may have a hard time getting out of Mahomes for like, you know, any type of haul because it's 10-team. Other people can solve their quarterback situations easier. I think this is slam dunk Malik Neighbors unless there's some other receiver that comes about, like if Rome somehow is like top 4 pick or 5 pick somehow and Neighbors isn't, and that's your guy. I'm taking receiver here though, Mike. I'm taking Neighbors personally right now with everything I know today. I definitely would go get that receiver.
I'd start working on that manager who's got the 101 and the 103 and
Yep.
start working on his 103 and see if he wants to swap. And, you know, if you can finagle, I don't know, maybe make that 110 a little bit better, or, you know, trade the 110 for his 25 first, you know, just outright, something in that range. Like, that's kind of what I would do, you know, kind of for the package or whatever. So I think I'd probably get started on that right now. That way you don't really have to make that decision, right? Like, Neighbors just kind of, that's the pick, cold-blooded. You don't have to go Neighbors or Caleb. Like, what do I do with it?
I mean, as long as you can confidently say that he doesn't jump up and take them both. Like if you feel like very strongly at 103 he's going to take quarterback, and you can tell like, hey, he wants Caleb or something like that, I'm very into what Mike's doing. I would agree. But what I don't really want to do is move back to 103 for him to take Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, and now I'm like, oh shit, Caleb's on the board. I can't really say no, but I don't really want Caleb Williams because I can't leverage him. Now I got Mahomes, Kyler, and Caleb. So that's one of those things where you have to know your league mate and your league. So to Mike's point, if you can get that done, if you feel like at 103 he's going to take quarterback and you want to help him, say, hey, here, you can have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams, and you know that's what he's going to do, go ahead and get that little extra plus. But just be careful about that.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what we got, Mike. Man, Super Chats are coming in hot and heavy today. Not mad at it at all, but now I'm trying to like get back to the other questions that I have started, figure out where they're at. Okay, I have the 103 and the 105 in Superflex, and I want a quarterback and a wide receiver. Okay? Should you take Neighbors at 3 and get whichever quarterback at 5?
The good news about it for most people when we answer these, their drafts are post-NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. For a lot of us patrons, because I'm an asshole and, you know, I make all of our new leagues pre-NFL draft, right? Early April, we're doing this. You do run into those situations, and it has happened multiple times, right, where quarterbacks don't get the draft capital, or they don't get as good of draft capital as we thought, right? Or they don't even go in the first fucking round at all, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden that 105 where you're like, yeah, I'm Michael Penix or, you know, so-and-so. Like this guy's definitely going in the first round. Nope. Fuck no, they didn't. Just a burnt, wasted pick. But for most people, it's after, so you'll know. So just hypothetically thinking, saying at the time, right? You need a quarterback, you need a running back, or a wide receiver. I think, me personally, Neighbors is awesome, but I also think Odunze is awesome. I think Keon Coleman's awesome. I think Brian Thomas is awesome. I think Troy Franklin is awesome. I would probably just go with the sure thing and take the quarterback at 3 and then take the wide receiver at 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it this way: like right now, with what I know, and if you're gonna have this NFL draft first, if this is a post NFL draft Superflex draft for you, Michael, I'll put it this way: you'll know pretty clearly, because the way I'm looking at this right now, in what most people are assuming, is we're gonna have the combination of Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels locked in, right? And we're going to now have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors going to the top 10. So if you know that today, like if you're guaranteed that, fine, you can do this. I think this is not a problem, because you'll at 105 get either Drake May or Jaden Daniels in some way, shape, or form. However, I'll just ask you this. Like if you knew for a fact that Jaden Daniels and that athleticism that he possesses is a top 8 pick. Like, for example, one of the mocks that we did today had him going 8 to Atlanta. Like, if you're telling me he's surrounded by all those skill players and all that, like, are you really confidently going to, like, pass on Jaden Daniels in that situation? Right? Like, I would stay flexible to what you have, because right now, what I tell you today on January 17th, I wouldn't lock in. I wouldn't lock in. I just wouldn't lock into that today. You have so much time. So also keep in mind, too, people are going to probably come hollering at these picks at points throughout. Like, don't even lock in that you have a player on your team yet. Like, have yourself a plan. Think about different ways it could play out. But be prepared if someone comes hollering at this 103 because Jaden Daniels does go to Atlanta. Maybe I get my receiver that way. Maybe I get rid of 103 for Jaden Daniels, and I'm getting myself into some crazy high-end like asset at receiver. Maybe I can go get Amon-Ra St. Brown with that pick now, right? So I'd stay fluid. That's my answer to the question. I tell you what, man, people aren't trying to see us go see those questions all the way at the beginning, buddy. We got Jen Stahl with a super chat. Jen, appreciate it. 1 out of 2. Type in the second one still. Trade T-Law, the 102, the 105 for the 101 and Burrow. Okay, this is hold on. So here, let's get all the juice out. 10 team Superflex start 10. All right. So I also have 104, 302, and 303. I have Stroud, T-Law, Chase, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Nico, Deontay Johnson, JSN, Singletary, Chandler, Charbonnet, Roshan, McBride. Back to the question. Would you trade T-Law 102, 105 for 101 and Burrow? I think I would, Mike. I
am with you. I will upgrade to Burrow. Now, granted, quarterbacks don't matter as much in 10 teams.
Yeah.
But still, like, I'd much rather have Burrow on my team than Trevor Lawrence at this point. I do get the pick upgrade, which allows me to take Marvin Harrison Jr., not worried about getting sniped. And it cost me the 105, which is a great pick, but the T-Law to, like, Burrow upgrade, that 105 almost pays for it right there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just for the certainty, the production, not a whole lot of risk. And then the 102 to the 101, that's also a massive, like, upgrade, in my opinion, in this format. Right. I love picking second, in 12-team or 14-team leagues and making other people decide what they want to do. But 10-team, like, I'm pretty locked in that Marv would be my pick at the 101. Like,
big time.
No question about it.
Big time. So, and I think because it's also, right, you just highlighted this, 10-team start 10, right? So it's really about juicing up these starters. Mike, I get a chance to go in with Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Olave. Like, that's what you want to do. You want to really juice up those guys. And you have in a Superflex league now Stroud and Burrow. Like, I know that in the 10 team that you don't have to have studs, but you have a chance to really beat people out even in 10 team with having those two great quarterbacks. You still want the warp difference makers. Just understand that you can't have – like, there's no reason to try to leverage out the middling quarterbacks in this format, right? Like, the high-end ones still can matter. So I think I'm 100% in on this, Jen. Do that trade. Go get that W. I also get the Burrow and Chase stack. That's a good call, too, Jen. Good call, too. Go stack that. By the way, we've actually – you can see, I remember being on a team where, Mike, I didn't even have to watch the 4 o'clocks. I'd lost the championship because of that Burrow and Chase stack. So go get yourself a title, all right? By the way, Mike, they're just coming in. We appreciate everybody being here. And super chatting. Brad OAZ. Great show.
I'll drink to that one, too.
Yeah, me too. Cheers. 12-team Superflex PPR. Start 10. Must start 2 tight ends. 1.5 tight end premium. Okay. Got Bijan, Kyron, Chase, Garrett Wilson, Mark Andrews. I have the 101, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Holy shit. For real? 101, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no 7. I got 8, 9, no 10, 11, no 12. And the 203, 204, 205, and 207. I also have 225 first. I'm considering drafting the first 6 at least. Thoughts? Like, this is a this is a good one. This is a good one where, well, you tell me you tell Brad what you think.
A lot of people too. Like, you're going to see this, right? It goes on Twitter and X all the time. I get comments on it when I post, like, my draft board and I have all these picks, or I post, like, something. They're like, people always say, "Oh, you're gonna miss on some of these." And Adam and I have done a show where we went back through 4, 5 draft classes in the past, and just from one year to the next, how big did you miss? How many hits were there? How many just lost value, total? The reality is, from year to year, at least amongst rookie classes, not a lot of first-round picks just dump value, right? Like, all right, think about Dalton Kincaid. Probably still holding about the same value he did where you drafted him last year, right? Now, we could say Quentin Johnston lost value. Done, right? Like, that was bad, okay? But how many of those other guys? Zay Flowers, gain value. Jordan Addison, gain value. Jackson Smith and Jigba, holding value. C.J. Stroud, massive gain. Bryce Young, lost value, but I think if you were to tell me, like, would you rather have Bryce Young or the 109 in this class? Fuck. Bryce Young, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're still within the first round. Not a lot of misses. So people will tell you, you got to get rid of these picks. I'm telling you that if I have all these, I'm exploring what the options are. Like we talked about with the earlier super chat with Adam's team in the OG shit league. Like, sometimes, because you have all this leverage, you're going to get dynamite fucking deals. Like, dynamite. Like, ones that you can't say no to. Take those. But if you don't, and people are like, I want to see you make these picks, you're going to fuck them up. Reminder, you're going to make these picks in May, early May. Maybe June if that's how late your rookie draft is. You still got months. You got months of these dudes being out there having rookie hype, rookie minicamp, training camp highlights. Like, that shit we talk about nonstop because there's nothing else going on. So even though, like, the general thinking is, and I've fallen victim to this too, like, once you make the pick, it goes down in value. Not always the case. Sometimes once you make that pick, then I'm going to see this dude make a one-handed catch in fucking late July, early August, and people are going to skyrocket him. Puka Nacua did not lose value once you made that pick in the 4th round in May, or the 5th round in May. Fuck, he was a free agent. He started to gain value in August. When D-Bro was on his shit, just like, hey, Puka. Like, they're talking glowingly about Puka, right? This is the kind of shit that happens with rookies. So, most times, more than not, unless it's like the Travis Etienne situation where that fucking guy breaks his foot, at the start of training camp, and then we're like, fuck. Like, now that's a burnt pick. Most times these guys are going to gain a little bit of value, so you don't really have to worry too much, but definitely explore and see if deals are there. And you got a fucking haul. Haul, Brad.
So Brad, here is the way I'm going to look at this, and I can speak from experience in this, also knowing your format, okay? If I'm getting out of these picks, and I'll be honest with you, like, I'm considering drafting all the first 6 at least. There's not a problem with that at all from me. And even when you draft them, understand every single one of those players now technically has probably lost a little value once you press the button. But because you still have the culmination of them, it's not as big of a deal because you can trade any single one of those players. This is the way I look at this. In a format like this, like if you go into this season, okay, because just think about this for a second, everybody. Mike, you can write with this. If you go in with this team, so you'll have Marvin Harrison Jr., you'll have Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, you'll have Malik Neighbors, you'll probably have Brock Bowers. With the 2 tight ends, you'll have Brock Bowers and Mark Andrews now, right? Now, I can sit here and tell you, if you do that, like, yeah, that team sounds pretty freaking sweet, man. The one thing that you can say right now that sounds good, I don't know, though, that this season, going into the 24 season, that as great as that team is, that you're going to beat 2 or 3 teams in your league if you go into it with that. So if I'm going to move some of these players and picks, essentially, right, I'm looking at the 101 as picks for now, but they'll become players like you're talking about, drafting the first 6. Can I get into the assets that are ridiculously different? Can I get into Jefferson? Can I get into C.J. Stroud? Can I get into difference makers, right? If I have the ability to get off of some of the potential misses for like locked and loaded absolute studs, and I'm not doing it at a premium because I have so much liquidity, like that I think is where you basically, when you have this type of high-end asset value, if you want to secure some safe, like high-end studs, if you can get into Amon-Ra's, if you can get into CeeDee Lambs, if you can get into Justin Jeffersons, if you can get into Josh Allen's and stuff like that, That's the exception. I have no problem leaving with all first of the 6, but can I get into those guys? Is there a chance maybe I can send the 106 for Tyreek Hill straight up in this format? Like, can I do that? Or can I send 106 and 207 for Tyreek Hill, right? Like, those are the exceptions. I think because you have so much leverage, kind of think about where you want the team to be and understand because you have so much leverage, you might be able to get some things done by getting rid of one of these 6 picks. Just don't do it without a reason to really like solidify secured high-end value, I guess is the way I'd best say that.
Yeah. I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
So anyway, I hope
love that, though.
I hope
That
for the
is,
thoughts that helps you.
You didn't have to pay $20 to show this thing off. Too.
He did.
Like,
That's a hell of a flex. That's a hell of a flex.
And Mona Lisa.
Brad, if I listen, I didn't have to do $20 super chat on my own show because I'll just tell you. But if I was gonna go do that on someone else's show, I'd drop a $20 super chat like here. This is part of my winnings that I'm gonna have. So here, you can have some.
This
of
is
this
the
too,
kind of dynasty roster when I go to bed, like I dream about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well,
I just wait.
Oh, well, and Mike, that's what will happen if this is me, if this is Brad. And there's 11 other people in this league they're having nightmares about this, right? They're having the same problem on the other end. Oh no!
Change your name to Rent Free in that league because everybody thinking about you.
How we gonna eat, man? 50 back around. All right.
That's old
Cheeky.
school, man.
That's old school. You like that? All right. Cheeky Hobson. By the way, join the Patron today. Cheeky found y'all through Scott Connor. Appreciate joining. Join the Patron tonight. Is there an episode that best describes how to use Bestball spreadsheet during a draft? Ooh.
So this one was, I was looking here while Adam was talking, and trying to figure it out. So back in our old Destination Devi days, 4D chess days, I sent this tweet out June 25th of 2022, Adam, and I know we did an episode shortly after that because it was such a polarizing tweet. That's where I took, Kyle Pitts and Devontae Smith, and I teared down into what people considered a bunch of shitters.
Yeah.
For best ball.
Yep.
And I did it based on the Spike Week Consistency Week sheet, right? Like figuring out or trying to figure out exactly how many times like a player would enter your lineup on a given basis and the value of depth versus names in a best ball league. Mm-hmm. So the best answer I can give you, Cheeky, is I don't know the exact number. But if you kind of go back and you look around that date for podcasts on the Destination Devi feed, there's a 4D chess episode. I don't know exactly what it's titled, but I would check like early July of 22 because we dove pretty in depth about it. And that was kind of the revelation where the best ball strategy started to come from, right? A little bit ahead of its time at the, because people fucking roasted me for trading away Kyle Pitts, man. And before that, in the same league, I traded away Jonathan Taylor, and lo and behold, both those strategies worked out because I dog-walked the fuck out of that league. I actually dog-walked that league 2 years in a row, all stemming from those trades, right? Back-to-back shit, son.
I'm trying to remember, Mike, there was a 23 episode, so when we had the updated spreadsheet, I remember vividly doing a show. I'll be honest, Cheeky, you're in the Patreon, so I can get it to you. I'm not going to be able to give you the episode specifically right now, but I can dig it up and find it because I'll tell you and everyone that's here. By the way, we have 90 people basically in between X and YouTube. Hour 18 minutes in, a lot of super chat love. So we appreciate everyone here. I'll give this to everybody since Cheeky's putting it out there. If you go look at like the spreadsheet, okay, I'll give you some episodes to go look at later. But when you look at it, you're looking at spike weeks and consistency weeks, right? And you're trying to find a blend. I think really the best way I can highlight in best ball, Mike, you can speak to this if you're different on this, but I think you're pretty similar. You're looking for a great culmination of making sure you have as much depth as you can with the consistent weeks. But the real blend where you can really like destroy the league is when you have a healthy blend of that paired with several options that can spike. Now, one thing to think about, different positions are different. In best ball, you want to make sure you have some running backs and quite a few of them that are seeing a good majority of snaps. Like in a lineup league, you can basically fade running back into oblivion. Where in best ball, you don't want to necessarily do that as much with running backs that don't have opportunities. Wide receivers, if you look, there tends to be a pretty big like corollary where if you look at wide receivers that are really, really different and special, their quarterback doesn't really necessarily matter as much, right? But if you look at what tends to be guys that have multiple chances at spike weeks and better consistency weeks versus not, when you think about some great receivers that have some like high dynasty value, but they have a mediocre or a shitty quarterback, like in best ball, you'll see that their consistency weeks may be there, but their spikes aren't. But the guys that are really, really hitting is if you can find a solid receiver in a great offense attached to a good quarterback, those, whether it's going to cost you a lot or not, those are the ones you want to try to chase. So I think that would be kind of some of the thoughts I have on the best ball spreadsheet and the way I look at it. But every year you'll see different things. You know, you saw some quarterbacks 2-3 years ago that meant a shit ton, right? They absolutely hammered you in spike weeks, and this year wasn't necessarily the case. So some of it's just understanding team building, but that's some of the way I'd like to use it.
It's become a thing too. Like you pair that with warp, and now you get a true kind of visual of your league. So just example on the spike week, consistency week, like at least at the tight end position, Travis Kelce, right? I had 7 spikes, 11 weeks he was above average for a tight end. Now, when I build a best ball roster, like, yes, do I want the spikes? The spikes help me win weeks. But I also kind of understand with warp that tight ends don't really matter. So if I can get anything that's just above average or can come close to matching what Travis Kelce, what somebody had to pay for Travis Kelce, what they spent in startup capital or in a trade or whatever on Travis Kelce, if I come close and, like, match that just on above average weeks, like, because of the warp difference, they're fucked, right? Like, I can focus on other things, right? Like, that's how I'm just trying to hold serve, essentially, and that's kind of how I use it. So a good example, like, I gave you Travis Kelce's things, but Cole Kmet had 11 above average weeks, right? Like, he held serve on the consistent part of it. Didn't spike as much as Travis Kelce, but then you go to warp and you're like, man, there's not much difference between these two. Right? Cole Kmet was pretty damn close to Travis Kelce, even though he spiked a lot more.
Right.
Well, that's all I'm trying to get at. Trying to hold serve at certain positions, and then other positions I'm just going to, dominate you and beat the shit out of you, because the positions that really are warp advantages, those are the dudes that I'm trying to get those massive spikes from.
Yeah, and I think in best ball, Cheeky, like the roster construction is a very big thing. Warp will obviously give you, if you look at warp, the chart in there, you'll see like ideas that they're going to give you relative to the league. I think really though, the way that you can look at it is I'm looking to stay in ranges. So for the running back position for roster construction, like if I'm looking at, let's say in this league I need to have 6 to 8 running backs, I want to make sure I'd rather have like 6 that are really going to be in that top 40 range, because you can kind of see in the top 40-ish how there's guys that are actually going to matter. There are going to be some consistency weeks and a handful of spikes. When you get past that, a lot of times like these guys don't have workload. So you can still try to add those people through waivers when they get a chance to, if they become available. But I'd rather roster 6 guys like that than rostering 8 guys that have shitty workloads or, barely getting 40, 50% of snaps, and you're kind of just hoping for a touchdown weekly. So I kind of like to look at the consistency spike week chart in a blend with warp again for that, and knowing, okay, if I need to get to this number, what should that number really look like, and what am I counting as a part of that number versus freebies I'm trying to add throughout the year.
When we did it with Scott, the roster construction series for Best Ball, that was exactly what I was looking at. Trying to just get some arbitrary cutoffs. You know what I mean? Like all right, man, like exactly. Down to tight end, 17, like you get this number of consistent weeks. That's kind of where I want to keep my tight end range, or
exactly,
like what the baseline is. I don't want to go build a bunch of tight end 60s on the Best Ball weeks, because fuck, I'm only getting one consistent week out of them.
They don't matter.
Maybe a spike if I'm lucky. Fuck those guys. But especially at like running back, right? Like we could give those cutoff points where like this is kind of the range of running backs I want to stay in for roster construction on the ones that matter. Now, when you get to the cuttable, like the replaceable level, who gives a shit? And you'll find out that in best ball, especially, the replaceable level usually means you're replacing it with just any fucking tight end, right?
Exactly.
Just catch a touchdown, fall in the end zone. That's all I need.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just fucking do something. Catch one pass for a touchdown, buddy. That's all I want from you. So.
And sometimes understand, I think the other thing to do is understand if you do have a weakness, right? let's say tight end is the one where you decide to go in week at, which is, I'd tell you probably that's the one to do. You'll have a chance to. It may not feel the greatest, but you'll have a chance to add guys like Tanner Hudson and plenty of opportunities throughout the year to track who's getting snap share, who's not. What's the guy from the Dolphins, Mike? You've called him 3 different names.
Julian Hill.
Julian Hill, thank you. Julian Hill, yeah. You'll have a chance to kind of address weaknesses or spots where you haven't really filled out your roster construction throughout the season if you're really paying attention. So understand, I think that's the best way I could probably highlight the entirety there.
Cody went back and found it, too. He got the episode name and everything.
There we go. See, look at this, man. Look at this.
Sleepy Cody coming through, man.
Mike, July 22.
Best Ball
body bag. There you go.
Got it,
there you
man.
go, man.
That's some digging.
Yeah, and he even gives some context, right? Mike got bodied on Twitter for some major down tiers he made. Let's give him a chance to explain himself. I think the point of, and Mike even admitted when he made some of these trades, he probably could have shopped a little harder to get some extra, but
for sure, yep.
There was a spiciness to, like, here, I just made this trade, come flame me, but you don't necessarily understand in Bestball what it means, so.
I think it was, right? Like trying to figure out what the actual edge was in best ball versus lineup and how like dug in people were with lineup theory versus best ball theory.
Yep.
You find out it's a very different game. Very different game. Even you and I think when we first started best ball, we're like, it's just lineup, but you don't actually have to set a lineup. You get to do all the other stuff, which is awesome.
Yep.
It's the same thing. Like you're still going to want the same guys. Same people are irrelevant. Wrong. All of a sudden, they're very fucking relevant.
Let's get a couple questions in here, and then we'll get up out of here, man. I could probably stay here all night, but I know Mike has, an early morning, things to get to.
5:15.
So let's do a few. All right, let's do a couple. If you have super chats, questions you have to get in, now is the last chance. I guess we'll call it that. All right. Should I try to trade up? I have the 101, 108, 109, 110, 201. Well, you can't trade up from the 101. So you're talking about trading up from the 108, 109, 110, 201 earlier. Ramon, I'd say I would like to know more about the league, frankly, in order to really answer this question, right? So if you're still with us, give us some more context. We'll try to answer it. Like certain leagues, I would say, yeah. Certain leagues, I'm like, no. Best ball, definitely, I'm probably chilling.
I would say, like, right now, if the 8 and the 9, the 9 and the 10, could get me to the 104, that's something I'm interested in. 105, probably, maybe, but you also got plenty of time. Let's kind of figure out what the tiers are actually going to be in the tier breaks and have a little bit better feel for it.
Agreed.
But right now, like if something presented itself, I'm sitting in like a generic lineup, start 10, whatever, and somebody was like, hey, I'll give you the 104 for your 9 and 10. Sure, here you go, done. And I'll just move on with myself.
Adam also puts March of 23 is the Dynasty Best Ball roster construction series with Scott. You said you came from Scott, so I don't know if you've went back to that. That was with Scott, by the way, Cheeky. That we did. It was like, was it 3 episodes with him on that? It was 4 episodes. That's a gem, man. Go back and check that out for sure if you have not heard that one yet.
We bounce back and forth between his show and our show based on positions.
Good call. It's half on 4DHS and half on Destination Dynasty, by the way, in order to get the combination there. Because, and by the way, that is also like our 4DHS now is on South Harmon. That's all going to be on Destination Debbie Radio's feed. So if you want to check that out,
the old school, the original,
the OG days, man. Yeah, back in the day. All right, where are we actually at on Sammy Ballgame now? 1-for-1, where is he in your overall dynasty ranks? Mike, I was talking to a patron. This is an interesting one. They was asking about, like, for our rankings, why don't we do overall, like, Superflex, essentially? And I'm like, listen, part of it is, like, that's where Warp, like, because for us, in order to do that, we would have to basically say, hey, here's our rankings for half PPR, full PPR, tight end premium, no tight end premium, all this different stuff.
Best ball leagues, lineup leagues,
right.
Start 9 leagues,
Exactly. And so, like, for us, we'll basically say, hey, depending on what your league is, that's where Warp is really going to be your best reference for cross-positional understanding that. Now, for something I can't talk about yet, but I'm doing this process, like, in some of my rankings for another place I'm going to be doing some work with. So here's what I'll say, Slimmo, about this. When asked about this, and when I started building out rankings with no tight end premium, Mike, no tight end premium. Sammy Ballgame is down probably a lot further than most people would think. I would agree you're probably there too. Like if you're telling me I need to rank overall Superflex rankings, no tight end premium at all, probably even, a small tight end premium, a 1.5 tight end premium. It's not going to change much. Like Ballgame's going to be down a lot in the skill player overall rank. So for him to actually become like someone I'm really trying to get, it's going to have to be a very heavy tight end premium. It's going to have to be a lineup league that I'm kind of breaking principles for, to where he's top, 20, 30 range, something like that. Otherwise, I'm probably going to end up just missing him, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, I can kind of give you a ballpark, I guess, from a couple startups I've done, like where I would feel comfortable taking him versus where everything else has gone. So this also includes rookie picks and stuff, too.
I can give you where I actually have it in a non-tight end premium, by the way, to follow up. I'll pull it up. Go ahead.
There you go. I'm probably like mid-third. Like I feel comfortable pulling.
Give us a.
Would I rather have?
Where is this, like a non-tight end premium league right now? A small tight end premium? Where are you talking here?
I think it's a full tight end premium too, like a 1.0 non-tight end premium. Fuck, I'm probably not touching one.
Okay, that's where I was going to pull up. Yeah. Yep.
I'm good. Yeah, but I would say like just generic, right? Like you think about your half-point tight end premium or your start 2 tight end league or your start 2 tight end with half-point tight end premium, just because tight ends don't fucking actually matter, right? This is where Warp has changed everything for me from the tight end position. I love Sam Laporta. I was telling you guys about him 3 fucking years ago. Nobody listened, but it was I'm still going to say, like, would I rather have Puka Nacua or Sam Laporta? It's Puka. Waddle, Devontae Smith, or Sam Laporta. I'd rather have those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only question becomes, like, like I've seen, like, some Jared Goffs in the 3rd round. Like, fuck that. Like, I'd rather just have Sam Laporta, right? Like, Goff's kind of in that replaceable quarterback range, too.
It's funny. So it's funny when I ranked him, and this is in with this ranking right here, this is going to be where it's a heavier tight end premium. Okay, so it's a meaningful tight end premium. Mike, the quarterbacks, I have Tua slightly ahead of him. So if you're telling me like in the super flex range, where would I put him? Tua, Purdy, Love, Dak,
that's fair. Yep.
Fields, all those guys I'll take.
Yep.
Then you go to Goff, Watson, I'll take Laporta ahead of him in a premium. Right now I have him in this like late 30 range, and for me the cutoff is basically like right now it's very close. If I'm on the clock, him or DJ Moore, I'd probably end up leaning DJ Moore. But like DK Metcalf, maybe at that point I might take Laporta. Like he's somewhere in that range. But like to your point, Waddle, London, I'll take those guys ahead of him. So he's going to be like a late 30s, early 40s, depending on how realistic the tight end premium is and how drastic it is. I want a lot of the receivers ahead of him. I want a lot of the quarterbacks ahead of him. So pretty clear, cut and dry for me. And this has to be a tight end premium, Mike, that makes me say, man, like I want to get a tight end, which we can attest to. There's not that many leagues that actually do that.
No. Yeah, I would say 30 kind of feels right, just in overall ranks, just in the ballpark, right? Do your due diligence. So that's going to put you in the 3rd round of a startup easily, mid-3rd.
Yep.
So I love him, but I'm not. Gone are the days where like, does this tight end go in the 1st round of a startup? Fuck no. Right? And that's the tight end 1. Okay, think about everybody else falls after that. McBride, Kincaid, Brock Bowers. That's how it goes.
AJ Brown, by the way.
AJ Brown or Neighbors?
AJ Brown.
I'll take AJ Brown. Neighbors is pretty cool though.
I got no problem with Neighbors, but this is where, like, again, it's kind of one of those things you have to have a conversation with yourself. If you're having a pick and you're thinking about taking Neighbors and someone comes calling as the pick starts to build hype with AJB, do I just get out here, man?
Saying Neighbors over AJ Brown is like saying that Neighbors is going to walk into top 10 Dynasty wide receiver ranks from the jump.
He may.
Know where the fuck he's going.
And he may. I'm not telling you he won't, but, like, is that here to stay come middle of October? Right? I mean, I'm not saying that I agree with you, but again, right now, Keep Trade Cut tells you that Tyreek Hill is wide receiver 10, and we haven't even gotten to the point where it's going to keep dipping. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, JSN was fucking amazing, and he didn't walk into top 10 right off the jump.
Agreed. But also, JSN didn't go quite as, like, crazy high as we were maybe thinking. He ended up going at 20. Like, if Neighbors ends up going 5 to the Chargers, right? That's part of
Drake London was pretty fucking awesome. Did go in the top 10.
Right.
He didn't jump into the top 10 of Dynasty wide receiver ranks right off jump.
But both him and JSN wasn't sure, like, is he going to end up getting the role? And Drake London didn't have the quarterback situation, right? Like, if that's why I'm saying if it's a top 5 pick, like if Neighbors goes with Justin Herbert and there's all this opportunity, people are going to be creaming their pants, man. Like, I'm not telling you he will be, but I could see a scenario where I'm not going to say it's right.
Okay.
I could see it, but there has to be certain factors. I agree with you, though. It's when you think about the last few years, how many guys have jumped into top 10? It's Chase. It's few and far between. Right away, they jump into top 10. So we'll see if Neighbors does that. Even still, if he jumps in the top 10, is he past A.J. Brown? I'm going to probably say no. Even if all that stuff checks the boxes, like top 5 draft capital, good quarterback, you still taking him ahead of A.J. Brown? I'm probably not still even then.
Right.
All right, man. I think that was let's see if we get one quick one here, man. One quick one for Mike.
That's what I tell my wife all the time.
I mean, but sometimes I don't really give you the quick one. I'm sure you tend to deliver, right?
I'm always quick. Lickety split, man.
I don't really know what this is a question for. There's a lot of stuff in here that's not actually questions. I think maybe we just get up out of here. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. All right, here. I'm not pulling up any of these. Strategy question. If you own most of the top 5 rookie picks, would you rather use them all and accept that about half will bust, or are you trying to sell some? Ethan,
So
we
we
kind of
talked
touched
about
on
that
this,
earlier.
yeah.
The half will bust is like, at least from year to year, 1 year to the next year, is bullshit. Because go look at the top 5 this year and tell me how many of those guys busted.
Bryce.
How many of those guys could you not extract first-round value out of?
Bryce, maybe. Oh, even Bryce you could get a first round out of. Like, Quentin Johnston would be one of the ones, right?
But he wasn't a top 5 pick.
Correct. I'm saying, like, how many first-round picks, forget top 5, that even aren't getting a first-round pick?
You definitely get a first for Bijan, Gibbs, Stroud.
Well, but here's the question, I think, weirdly,
Jameson.
to keep it like afloat. How many of the guys that you drafted in the top 5 this last year would give you a top 5 pick this year? Would you trade out of a top 5 pick this year? So here's what I'll say, Ethan. I tend to be fluid with it. I try to let the pick build all the way up before I extract the value if I'm going to trade out of it. And if I have most of the top 5, the reason I say that is if I'm going to move off of them, forget really what they're going to do, because I have so much time before they technically bust that I could move them, right? If I'm going to do this and I have this like solidified, if I have all of them, can I send 102 and 103, to go get anybody I want? Can I go get, Josh Allen's? Can I go get Justin Jefferson's? Part of it is having the cumulative effect of those picks. It gives you buying power to just ridiculous levels. So that's part of the reason why I'm a little more hesitant to move them unless I'm getting that type of a value back.
With you. And I'll answer a Dr. B question, because he did finish up with his wife to come see us. Tank Dell or Nico Collins?
Good for you, Dr. B.
Nico Collins. I'm going to go Nico Collins. It's close. I'll go Nico.
I think
I'm
right
sorry,
now,
Nico. I keep fucking doubting you, and you keep making me look like an asshole. So
really, really close. I think I'm going to take Nico too by a hair. I'm still pretty fine with having some Tank Dell shares, but you want me to pick one-on-one, you put me on the spot, I'll take Nico. Right now.
Me and my affinity for those wide receivers who are 6'4", 215, look like Adonises. So.
Also attached to top 3 or 4 dynasty quarterbacks, so we will take that. Aside from that, man, listen, we had so much love, so much fun today. Super chats flowing in, a lot of people here.
Thank you, everybody.
We appreciate everybody, and this is just further confirmation, Mike. 2024 for everybody here. This is our year. We'll see you back here next Wednesday, same time, same place. We're out of this thing. Peace.